everybody, Dan Illman here with the DRF race of the day for Sunday, July the 28th. It's race number 9 at Del Mar. Sensational renewal of the Grade 2 $250,000 Eddie Reed at Del Mar. Let's take a look at this field. We're going 1 1/8 on the turf, and we have some of the best turf runners in Southern California in this field. It's a big field. It should be a good betting race, and according to our friends at Timeform US, I don't think they believe this pace is going to be very fast. Johannes, the number 9, is expected to be on the lead. He's far from a speedball, and neither is the 7 du jour, both of them stretching out off 1 mile races. I would think the 8 Balladeer, even though he's been setting fractions at longer distances, I would think he's going to be very aggressively ridden, cutting back to 1 1/8. And I think he's the horse to catch in here. And if no one goes with Balladeer, he's shown by virtue of his win in the John Henry Turf Championship last year that he could take a good field, gate to wire. We'll start things off with the number 1, There Goes Harvard. And this is a horse who returned off of a lengthy layoff in a very tough spot, the Shoemaker Mile. And all things considered, There Goes Harvard ran quite well to finish a rallying 4th at a giant price behind Johannes. He has shown some ability in the past, obviously, winning the Grade 1 Gold Cup at Santa Anita back in 2022. Unfortunately for There Goes Harvard, he's only raced 4 times since then, so there have been some obvious physical issues. Perhaps There Goes Harvard is prepping for this for a dirt race down the road, maybe even the Pacific Classic, but he's shown some ability on turf in the past, and he's tactical enough and pace adaptable enough that he can work out a good trip breaking from the inside post. His last race off such a long layoff was a heartening performance. The number 2 is Masterpiece, shipping west for trainer Rick Dutrow off this win in the Grade 2 Fort Marcy at the 1 1/8 distance. And Masterpiece just looks like a specialist at this point in his career, going 1 1/8. He worked out a really good trip under Dylan Davis, tracking the pace down towards the inside while saving ground, getting on through, and gamely beating back Ottoman Fleet, a decent horse from the Godolphin Armada, and Charlie Appleby. Masterpiece has always been rock solid. He's a multiple graded stakes winner. He's performed well in Southern California in the past. That's where he campaigned for Michael McCarthy in 2022. And he's a horse that needs a little bit of pace, I would think. He was close last time out because the fractions were somewhat moderate, but I think if you give Masterpiece some pace, he will come with a late kick, and he does fit with these horses. Gold Phoenix, what can you say about this horse? His versatility, his class. He wins graded stakes races at 1 1/4 miles. He, of course, won the Eddie Reed last year at 1 1/8 miles. He won the Grade 1 Kilroe last year at 1 mile. He can do it all. And his last race, the Whittingham, was a return to form. Let's watch Gold Phoenix, again, who got really close to the pace, going the 1 1/4 miles. And this is Gold Phoenix in the stretch. He really does want to beat you when he's put in a position to win. He earned a very respectable 98 Beyer speed figure. Keep in mind that he finished 4th in the Breeders' Cup Turf last year. I do believe that Gold Phoenix is willing to sit back and make one run if there is some pace up front, and Balladeer at times has shown the ability to be kind of an uncontrollable speed. Maybe that'll set things up for Gold Phoenix. And some of the other closers in this race, one of them could be the number 4 Easter, going out for trainer Phil D'Amato and getting blinkers for the first time. Over the winter and last fall and into the winter, Easter was probably the standard bearer as the best turf horse, middle distances at least, in Southern California. He won 3 stakes races in a row, 2 graded, then ran second to du jour in the Grade 1 Kilroe. He sort of fell far behind, breaking from a tough outside post in the Shoemaker Mile last time out. He did give a little bit of a stretch kick. Maybe the blinkers on will add a little bit of early speed, a little bit more focused, and on his best day, you would expect Easter to give a strong late bid, as will Balnikov, the number 5, who won the Grade 3 Dinner Party on Preakness weekend last time out. It was a soft turf course, and Balnikov really seemed to enjoy it. He fell far behind early under Frankie Dettori, but he came with his usual good, strong kick to win. He beat a useful field going 1 1/8 miles that day. I was talking to some of the connections in the winner's circle after the race. They feel that maybe he likes a little bit of cut in the ground, that some of these firm turf courses in Southern California haven't been to his liking, but he's won major races in California in the past. It's all about pace and trip for Balnikov. He doesn't have a lot of early speed. If the pace is hot and he gets a clear run, he can threaten at a price. Dicey Mochara is up next. No match for Gold Phoenix in his last two races. One of them was the Eddie Reed way back in 2023, a race that preceded an extremely long layoff. In the Whittingham, he was very sharp out of the gate and fresh, pushing the pace before tiring. He likely needed that race off of a layoff. I can see him getting a forward position in here if Balladeer doesn't go too crazy up front, and maybe he'll try to get the jump on some of these closers. I think there are still some questions about class. He did win the San Gabriel, going 1 1/8 back in 2022, but that was his last win. Like There Goes Harvard, his career has been plagued by layoffs. Du Jour, the number 7, goes out for Bob Baffert. He won the Kilroe 2 starts back when receiving just a wonderful ride. He was able to settle into a very nice spot, stalking the pace by his lonesome, dropped down inside entering the turn, got the split that he needed an upper stretch, altered back to the rail. All the holes opened up for Du Jour that day. And then last time out against Johannes, he had to sort of angle to the far outside in the stretch while Johannes got the dream run. Du Jour is very solid. He's going to come with a bit of a kick in the stretch. And as Timeform US believes, he can be close if this pace is moderate. Let's talk a bit about Balladeer because his speed automatically makes him a dangerous threat. Winner of the John Henry, as I mentioned early on last year. They tried the Breeders' Cup turf. It was too tough of a task. And then since then, he's been showing speed and tiring. It's been one carbon copy effort after another. In the Whittingham, he went to the front and he pulled very hard in that race. That's the issue with Balladeer. He needs to get to the front, but then he needs to relax and save something for the stretch. He's just expending too much energy in the opening half mile, 3/4 of a mile of his races, so that when these good closers come, he doesn't have anything left in the tank. It's all about how he settles before he is able to be unleashed in the stretch. And here's Johannes, a horse that's on the cusp of being one of the best turf horses in the country, if he's not already there. He's won 2 graded stakes races in a row, going 1 mile at Santa Anita, including this race, the Shoemaker, and just look at the ride he got. He was able to be in between horses entering the second turn, a nice smooth bid, got to the outside at just the right time, grinds down a very game leader and Fantastic Again while holding off the rallying Du Jour. Now, I wonder if that trip's available to him, breaking from post position 9 here, but he has such wonderful tactical speed that he's probably just going to follow Balladeer out of there and try to save as much ground as possible. And I could see him being 2-path, 3-path going into the first turn and well settled. The distance is probably the biggest question for Johannes, who up to this point has been a mile specialist, but the talent is certainly there. Before we get a look at my top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time, I'm going to go with Johannes. I think he can get the 1 1/8 with the right trip, and I think with his tactical speed, he can perch himself just off the leaders and get the jump on the true closers. But this is an excellent race. Again, you've got some of the better turf horses, not only in Southern California, but in the country in the Eddie Reed on Sunday. Good luck.